Hi, romance readers. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. USA Today best-selling romance author JESS Michaels joins me to discuss her new Regency romance, 100 Nights with the Duke, which is also her 100th book. And Jess plays Ultimate Author Quiz. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Jess. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. Congratulations on the release of your 100th book, 100 Nights with the Duke, a steamy second chance Regency historical romance.
Yeah, when you say it out loud, like every time I talk to somebody about it, I'm like, oh God, it's 100 books.
Does romance writing get easier or harder by the time you reach 100?
I think it's both. It gets easier in that I trust my process a lot more. I know that I can do this. I'm not, although there is a point in every book where I'm like, well, this is the one. I can't do it. It's over. It's all over. I have no skills anymore. We're done. But that's just part of the process. So I know that now. And that part is easier. But it does get harder in that, I don't want to repeat. There's always going to be repeated tropes. There's going to be things that end up being similar. Because you're always working toward the happily ever after. I write sexy romance. It's always kind of moving to the love scenes. There's always going to be a first kiss, like things that are romance, like staples that I need to hit. But I don't want to repeat a story or, characters that are too much alike. And so it's a really big compliment when somebody says, well, how are you doing that? Because all the characters are so different, or the books are all so different. And that's always like, okay, hit that out of the park. So that part is always the complicated part. It's like, well, this is a really good idea. And then it's like, wait, did I do that one already? Nope, I'm good. When I sort of really started tracking that we were going to hit that number, I knew that the series that I wrote previously that ended earlier in this year was my Regency Royal series, and that series had 5 books. And so at some point I had sort of laid out, okay, so that book will end on 99, that series, and then I'm going to have this 100th book. So I either wanted it to be a first book in a series or a standalone book, just because I didn't want to have, if we're going to do this big, promotional thing and ask other authors to be part of it and ask people like you to be part of it, like I don't want it to be like, oh, it's also the 4th book in a 15 book series, like, because there are readers who don't want to jump in on a 4th book. Even if I write books, almost all my books in series are can be read as a standalone, but a lot of readers like, no, I gotta go back and read. So I didn't want to complicate things that way. So this book is a standalone book. 100 Nights with the Duke is a standalone book. So if you've never read me before, it is not related to any other series, although there are some. I knew I wanted some fan favorites to pop in. Yeah. So if you've read a few, some of my books, you'll see secondary characters, but I don't think anyone is in there to the point where you're like, I don't know what's going on if I haven't read a previous book. I want to be super careful about that. And I also knew that I wanted it to feel like if somebody, this is the only book that they read because they see this big fuss about the book being the 100th book, that if they read it, that they're going to really understand what I write, and they'll either like it and they'll go back and they'll read more, or they'll be like, oh yeah, not for me, and then toss it out, right? So I wanted to make sure it was super sexy. I wanted to make sure that it had all great favorite tropes, and I really wanted a courtesan heroine because I love my courtesan heroines. I wanted a Duke because Dukes sell. So I was very intentional on how I planned it, for sure. The couple on the cover of 100 Nights with the Duke is a real couple. Aww. And they actually got married right after we shot. They were already together. People were like, oh my God, it's so romantic. Like, no, they were already together. Because we've shot with Devin before, who's the heroine. Right. And so when we were going to shoot the 100, our producer was like, what do you think about Devin and her fiance? And I was like, yes. So all of that chemistry is real. And then we shot with them for almost an hour, and we took a whole bunch of extra pictures. I always get a few extra pictures. We did, again, very intentionally extra pictures. And if you come to my social media and you look at the last week of the promo memes and stuff that have been going up, like all of those are the special extra images that we did. So that is always really helps me kind of get in the mindset, because we shoot before I write. So I sort of had that chemistry in mind, and that makes it a lot easier for me to write. So that's been a super helpful part of the process for me, for sure. Duke is Edward, and this courtesan Sophia were in a relationship. He was her protector. He was in love with her, and he was convinced to marry for propriety. And so they parted ways amicably. And when his wife passed away, he really spent like several years in a pretty miserable marriage, really wishing he had been a bit stronger in his desire to be with the person they actually loved. And so his whole goal in this entire book is his grovel, is getting her back, and winning her back, and he wants to marry her. So, and of course for Sophia, she's like, our problems are still the same, man. Like, I will absolutely go to bed with you, but I'm not going to get convinced that this can be a forever thing. So it's he falls first sort of trope, and courtesan hero, Duke hero, heroine Duke hero, and trying to convince her to allow their future, essentially.
I'll be honest, I'm not usually a fan of second chance romances for a variety of reasons. I don't personally believe in second chances. I mean, do you believe in second chances, just you in your personal life? Second chance.
It depends. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it depends on how bad you screwed up. Like, I don't want, which is why I want to be really careful about how they parted, right? Like, I didn't want it to be that like he cheated on her, he was some jerk, or that like it just was a thing that came to an end in a natural way that sort of relationship would, and everyone had regrets, but no one had hard feelings, right?
And that's why I was so glad that you executed it so beautifully, because I was like, oh, this could go a few ways, because sometimes with these second chances, I'm like, I really don't think they should have. I don't think they should be back together.
I don't think either one of them earned this.
Right, exactly. Right. But you know what? I totally was on their side from, the beginning, from the very beginning to the very end. I felt like I was wrapped up in their love bubble. I felt like I was like the third in their love sandwich.
There's a little fly on the wall.
Yes, like I felt like enveloped by them, and I was in love with them as they were, with each other. As a writer, from which sources did you draw in your life, whether your personal life or even external sources, to bring this second chance love story to the page with such emotional intensity and honesty? I mean, there was a lot of good conversations that they had. I was like, they're very like down to earth about how to approach all of this.
I don't think it's possible to write something where you're not bringing some part of yourself into it, right? So, I mean, I do think that there's certainly parts of me or my relationships or what I value as a person or a writer or a human. But I mean, obviously, a lot of it is just like, well, what would I want to read is what I start with, right? Like, I want to read, I'm too old to not write grownups. Like, I want them to be grownups, especially since both of them are, a little bit older and they're a little more experienced. Neither one of them is 19 years old, and she's had a lot of life experience just because of the life that she's led. So I felt like I always want to do what's best for the characters. So if I had a 19 or 20-year-old heroine or a really young hero, I probably wouldn't have had those kinds of depth of conversation because they wouldn't have had the maturity level to do that. But this book wouldn't have worked with people that had no life experience.
Right.
I mean, as far as my husband always makes this joke, because he does all the like the publishing side of things for me. So since we went indie, so we work together full time. So this is our family business. That's his full-time job.
Oh, wow.
And he listens to the audiobooks. That's how he reads my books, is that he proofs the audiobooks, because I can't listen to my own work. Like last night, I actually came upstairs after taking the dog out, and it was the middle of a love scene, and he was listening to it, and I was like, nope. See you later. Bye. Nope. But that's how he reads my books, is that he listens to the audiobooks.
Okay.
He'll always joke with me like, did that guy just use my move? And I laugh because it's true. So, I mean, I have a person that's my person that, like, he thinks that I'm the center of the universe, right? Like that I am the sun and he is the earth and he revolves around me. And that's awesome. I love that. It's the best. I cannot write no more. But I think that always informs, like, that's what I love about him, is that he's just like laser focused on what's going to make me happy. And I love that to write that sort of hero, whether or not it's like Edward, who's already in love with her. And so you kind of have there's no like, oh no, I don't want to be in love with her, but I am in love with her moment, which I love those too. But I really love writing, especially male main character, who once he loves the person, or once, if he's always been in love with the person, like he becomes very laser focused on what are the ways that I can make that person happy. It might have been A Knight in Shining Armor by Jude Devereaux, maybe, because I kind of remember that one vaguely. Technically, I didn't really become a romance reader until I was in college, and then it was Julia Quinn, I think it was Minx, that I really started getting into romance, because I was writing romance before I was reading romance, because I was an idiot and thought it would be easy. It was not easy. And then I was like, shoot, I guess I better read some of this. And I was like, oh, dang, it's really good. And then I got really into it. And then I actually started writing good romance. So that's the genesis of me. My mom was not a romance reader, which is hilarious, because now my mom is like a huge romance reader, and she actually reads all of my books, so including this one.
Oh, really?
But yeah, she actually she does like a copy edit pass for us. And I asked her once, I'm like, isn't it weird though? Because like it's sexy. Like, does it weird you out? Like, because I really appreciate that you never talked to me about it, but I'm just curious. And she's like, no, by the time I get to it, I kind of forget that it's you, and I just kind of like into the story. I'm like, well, that's a nice compliment. But then I think about books that I've started with sex, and I'm like, how do you get past it? But I didn't push too hard.
Would you rather write second chance romance or friends to lovers romance novels for the next 2 years?
I like friends. I probably would write friends to lovers. I have a lot more friends to lovers in my catalog than I do second chance. Although as much as I love a second chance, like if I had to pick one thing, I would do friends to lovers.
Okay. Would you rather write a reformed rake or a virgin clergyman?
A reformed rake, no clergyman.
Oh, okay.
I'll reform a rake all day, all night. I don't know. Like, I love a virgin hero, but I don't think I'd write a clergyman. I'm not religious at all, so I think I'd be like, ew, no.
Would you rather write an historical romance filled with a plethora of oral pleasures, or an erotic historical romance containing a 10-page long BDSM scene?
I mean, I would pick the oral because I'm not in the scene. Like, and so BDSM is like so, like, you just don't want to mess it up and not do the accurate representation. So, and honestly, that's what I already write, is like a plethora of oral. So that's pretty much, again, maybe one of the things that I'm known for.
Name that novel. I will give you 3 quotes from 3 of your novels, and you tell me which novel the quote comes from. I'm not even going to ask you what character says it. If you want to go for bonus, you can do that. Okay. First quote. He was changed, burned, branded, destroyed, and rebuilt, and he loved it.
Like, I remember writing that line. It's a really good line. Who is it? Okay, it's got to be someone who's all messed up. No, that does not limit it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not going to help.
That does not help me.
If I were to tell you what series it's from,
yes, tell me what series, and that will help me.
The Lady's Book of Pleasures.
Okay. Let me find it on the list. I literally have a list in front of me.
Oh, I know you have the list. Yeah.
I would assume it's maybe a measure of deceit. Maybe.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, and I'm probably wrong.
It's a Moment of Passion.
Oh, it's a good line. That's a friends to lovers right there. They are friends, and they become lovers. And they do fake date. So.
Oh, wow. It's fake date and friends to lovers. And this fantastic line that
great line.
And this great line.
He's like, and he is a reformed rake.
Next quote. Someone who has come through heartache and maintains wit and charm is far more interesting than someone who has been kept on a pedestal all her life.
A Reckless Runaway?
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
It is an introduction to pleasure in the Mistress.
I don't know my books at all.
In the Mistress Matchmaker series.
Yeah, and that's like a big fan favorite, an introduction to pleasure.
Last quote. Pain isn't a competition. You have a right to the feelings in your heart. I just don't want to see you drown in them.
I think that might be the Duke of Hearts. Damn it, am I wrong again?
The Broken Duke in the 1797 Club series.
Yeah. Well, I messed up all those guys. Those guys are all messed up. All of them. Not a one of them is okay.
1797, that's such a very specific year, obviously chosen
So
for a
that
reason.
was the year that they formed their club. They all were in school together, and they all kind of have crap fathers, and so they sort of make this friendship where it's like we'll help each other because all of them are going to end up being dukes because it's a historical romance series. So like, of course, there are 10 really hot dukes, babs, of course, that are all the same age. But like, whatever, you know what? Just look past it. And so this group of friends, it's the year that they started their official club, and they call it the 1797 Club.
I love it. If you woke up tomorrow in Regency, England, what's the first thing that you would do?
I would like to go to a ball, or maybe go to Hyde Park. Like, I don't know. I think I'd want to go and see the sights and tour around and like just sort of like check it all out for research purposes. Okay. But I would want my phone to be able to take pictures, so I'd probably be kind of screwed.
Yeah. I think I would first, which sounds odd, I would probably get some handkerchiefs and dip them in like lavender oil or something and keep it. So because I'd imagine like the smells, it's just gonna be overwhelming at first, like just like from the tallow from the candles and this. So I'd probably
dumped things into those like.
So I would.
The hygiene is not great. Like we don't talk about bathrooms and we don't talk about how much we brush our teeth. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Which of your romance protagonists would you like to magically come to life?
My very, very, very favorite are Adelaide and Graham from The Broken Duke, which makes me sad that I didn't know that line was from The Broken Duke. So I wouldn't mind going and hanging out with them. They're my favorite couple.
Okay. All right. Which is more difficult for you to write? The opening line of a novel or the very last line?
Opening line probably, because I need something that's going to kick me into the story, and the opening line can be so important for readers. So I feel like I probably noodle over opening lines longer.
Interesting.
I mean, none of it is great. All of it is really hard. All of the lines are difficult.
Will you name a character in a future novel Elizabeth Davis Donatelli or some variation thereof?
I have an Elizabeth, Lizzie, who is in The Love of a Libertine, but I haven't done an Elizabeth for a while. Is that my only Elizabeth? Yeah, maybe.
How about Donna Telly? So Donna's the first name, Telly's the last. Okay.
I'm not ruling it out, Liz. I'm not ruling it out.
All right. Just something.
I'll think on it.
Just throw me a bone, Jess. Just throw me a bone. The last one, what are you currently writing?
I just finished the first book in my next series that will start in the fall, so in August. I'm not sharing names of anything yet because I've learned my lesson. Some people are shady, and so, but it is about a group of duchesses, so widowed duchesses. So there are more dukes to come, but they're dead though, dead dukes. I'm killing off the dukes this time. So it's like a group of 3 friends that are all duchesses. So but that'll start in August. And I'll probably start, if people join my newsletter, they get a free book, and then I'm sure I'll start talking about it at the end of the summer.
Well, Jess, it has been a sincere pleasure. Congratulations again on reaching 100 books. Thank you for taking the time to join me here on Reader Seeks Romance.
Thank you so much for having me and for helping me celebrate release day.